What's going on, everyone? Sports back with another video. In this video, I'm going to be going over all the trades from today's NBA trade deadline day. I'm going to be going over every trade except the ones I already made separate videos on. Of course, that's the James Harden-Ben Simmons trade, and then that is the Goran Dragic trade. Of course, being a Raptors-based account, I made a separate video on the Dragic trade. If you are new to the channel, though, guys, I make a ton of content, MLB, NBA, NHL, and NFL all the time. I even do a little bit of soccer here and there, so definitely subscribe to the channel. Like the video. I make tons of content, like I said. The main teams I cover on the channel: Blue Jays, Raptors, Toronto Maple Leafs, and the New York Football Giants. But here we go in the video. We're going to start off with the four-team trade. And this trade had the Pistons, the Clippers, the Bucks, and the Sacramento Kings. We're going to start off with what the Detroit Pistons received, and that is Marvin Bagley III from the Sacramento Kings. Great player. Well, he's a good young player. He's definitely got some upside. They didn't have to trade a whole lot to get him, so I think it's a really good trade for them. I think they did a good job here. All they had to give up was Josh Jackson, as well as Trey Lyles. Those both went to the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings also got Dante DiVincenzo via the Milwaukee Bucks. I think Sacramento, they got a pretty good return, for being honest. I think it was a very, very interesting return they got for Bagley. I thought they would get some picks, but obviously they wanted DiVincenzo. After making the Sabonis trade, they kind of want to guard the, sort of fill in for Tyrese Halliburton. I think they get a good player in Dante DiVincenzo. They're definitely a team that is looking to compete this season. As for the Milwaukee Bucks, they're getting cash considerations, 2 future second-round picks, and Serge Ibaka from the LA Clippers. Now, Serge Ibaka knows all about the Milwaukee Bucks. He was a huge part in the Raptors winning the conference final, the Eastern Conference final in 2019. So he knows all about the Bucks and how to stop them. But now he's joining them, so definitely an interesting get there for the Bucks. I think it's a good move. They lost DiVincenzo, Ojale, and Hood to get Ibaka with the 2 first-round picks and some cash. And then the Clippers, they're getting Semi Ojale and Rodney Hood for Serge Ibaka. The team that wins this trade the most, in my opinion, is the Detroit Pistons. They didn't have to trade a lot, and you're getting a good player in Marvin Bagley with a ton of upside. He's still young, and they have a really good young core. And the loser here is the LA Clippers, as they traded Ibaka for practically a couple guys that aren't going to do much. Moving on to the next trade, it's the Celtics and the Magic. Very brief trade. The Celtics are getting a future second-round pick, and they are trading Bol and PJ Dozier to the Orlando Magic. This trade, Boston's just trying to dump off some contracts and some money, and you're going to see why later. Well, right now, actually, the Celtics are bringing in Derek White from the San Antonio Spurs. So the Spurs fairly active today. Derek White's a really good young player, but the Celtics, they had to give up a pretty big return, as they gave up Josh Richardson, Romeo Langford, and a first-round pick in 2022. So this upcoming draft class, but it is protected, top 4 protected. I can't imagine them picking in the top 4. I think they're going to be a team that probably, they're going to make the play-in. I don't know if they win it or not, but even if they do, they'll be a lottery pick, or just above a lottery pick. So they'll definitely, that pick will definitely go to the San Antonio Spurs. That's that trade there. I think the Celtics did a good job there. They had to give up quite a bit, but I think they're getting a good piece in Derek White. He's the guy who's going to help them go along their playoff run. The next one, we got the Indiana Pacers and the Phoenix Suns. The Suns are receiving Torrey Craig in exchange for a future second-round pick, as well as Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith, he was a lottery pick in 2020. Definitely a trade that you see, impacting both teams. Indiana gets a future second-round pick with a young player as they go into the rebuild, and the Phoenix Suns getting a veteran piece that's going to help them go along in their playoff run. And then the next trade is the Hornets picking up Montrezl Harrell. This is a big move for the Hornets. I think this is a really good trade for them. They didn't have to give up a whole lot. They ended up trading Ish Smith as well as Vernon Carey Jr. I really like Vernon Carey Jr., but at the end of the day, you're getting a nice player in Montrezl Harrell that's going to help you as they are looking to go to the playoffs for the first time since 2016. I really think this is a good piece for them. He's a good player, and I like the trade for the Hornets. And as a Raptor fan, you don't want to see these teams in the East all stock up for the playoffs, as we really didn't make a trade other than selling Goran Dragic. The Wizards, they made another trade, this time with the Phoenix Suns. The Suns getting Aaron Holiday for cash considerations and a trade exception. So Phoenix just getting a guy to help them out, as they go on their playoff run. And then Washington, they're getting they're getting a trade exception and some cash, as you're going to see why they got some cash with this next deal. That deal has them getting Kristaps Porzingis, as well as a future second-round pick in exchange for Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. This is a really awkward situation for the Wizards. I'm not sure what exactly they're doing, because after they traded, Harrell and Holiday, and then, when the trade was first reported, it said Dinwiddie was getting traded to Dallas. So I thought they were just emptying it out completely, and then it says they were getting Porzingis. It definitely, it's confusing with what the Wizards are doing. I'm not sure what exactly their plan is, but Bradley Beal, his time might be up there. Really, they only have a couple other good pieces. They have Kuzma, they have Kispert's all right. They have Achimura, Avdia, and now they have Porzingis. So I'm not really sure what the plan is over there in Washington. It's a very weird situation. But I think the Mavericks, I don't really know if that's a really good return. Dinwiddie's on an expiring contract. Bertans doesn't have a very good contract, and you're trading a very good player in Kristaps Porzingis, who a lot of contenders would probably have given you some good draft capital for, and maybe even some depth pieces that could help you right now. I do expect Dallas to go out into the buyout market and pick up Goran Dragic, but we'll see what ends up happening there. Definitely interesting. And then the last trade I want to talk about is the final trade that happened. Boston receiving Daniel Tice, so he's going back to Boston, and Houston is getting Bruno Fernando and his Freedom/Cantor, as well as Dennis Schroeder. This is a trade that I think Boston definitely gets a good piece in. I'm not sure what the point of this trade was for Houston. They should have at least gotten a second-round pick. They ended up waiving Ennis Freedom. Dennis Schroeder's a guy that's definitely not a long-term piece there for a rebuilding team. It's a little bit of a weird situation there, but I guess Houston trying to help out another team. Who knows? Definitely an interesting trade there. And then it was just overall an interesting day. But as a fan of the NBA, it was a little bit disappointing. I'm not going to lie. I mean, there was obviously that huge trade, which was definitely not a disappointment. But when you think of guys like Jeremy Grant, Miles Turner, Russell Westbrook, those are guys you thought going into the day they could potentially get traded, and none of them got traded. So it was definitely interesting overall. I definitely expected some of those guys to get dealt, and they didn't get dealt. Same with Taylor Horton Tucker. Those are a few guys. I thought it was interesting that the Warriors, Lakers, Heat, Knicks, some of those teams kind of stayed away from trades. I thought that those teams would be very, very active. That ultimately wasn't the case, but I guess they like where their team's at right now. I don't know how, if you're a Laker, if you're the front office of the Lakers or Knicks, you can like the situation your team's currently in, but I guess the deal just didn't make sense for the team, both short and long term. And at the end of the day, if that's the case, then you can't fault the team for not wanting to do a trade that they feel doesn't make complete sense. But guys, that's all I got in this video. You guys let me know down below in the comment section your thoughts on the day as a whole in this entire trade deadline. Who do you think's winners and losers from the deadline? What trade do you think was good for a certain team or bad for a certain team? Let me know all that good stuff down below in the comment section. And check out the previous two videos with the Goran Dragic trade and the James Harden, the huge trade, one of the biggest blockbusters in the history of NBA trade deadline. You guys let me know. Leave a comment down below. And as always, guys, please leave a like on the video. Consider subscribing to the channel if you guys new. We'll see you guys all in the next video.